Well, thank you. Sorry for the short delay. We were waiting for Mr. Gowdy because this announcement today involves both the House Intelligence Committee and the Government Reform and Oversight Committee. Mr. Gowdy, however, can't get pulled away from the meeting that he's currently in. But with me today, I have Mr. King from New York, who chairs our subcommittee on emerging threats, and then Mr. DeSantis from Florida, who chairs the Oversight Committee's subcommittee on national security. So what we're here today to announce is an inquiry into Russia's involvement into the uranium deal that was done several years ago. This is just the beginning of this probe. We're not going to jump to any conclusions at this time, but one of the things, as you know, that we're concerned about is whether or not there was an FBI investigation. Was there a DOJ investigation? And if so, why was Congress not informed of this matter? So that will be the start of the probe. It'll be a joint, two different committees who will be looking into this, and we will keep you posted with further details. Let me go to Mr. DeSantis, who's filling in for Mr. Gowdy today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have a witness who is a confidential informant who wants to talk about his role in this, and we're in contact with the Justice Department. Confidential informant who wants to talk about his role in this, and we're in contact with the Justice Department to release him from a non-disclosure agreement. If that doesn't work out in timely fashion, then we obviously would be able to subpoena him. You know, on the Oversight Committee, particularly my subcommittee, we'll be focusing on how the interagency process worked in this. We don't think that it worked out very well, so we have jurisdiction over the various national security agencies, and we want to get as much information as we can, and so we can see what happened.
So next we'll go to Mr. King. Mr. King is particular relevance not only because he chairs the subcommittee that oversees FBI and DOJ and Treasury from our committee, but also because he was a chairman back at the time and sent a letter in opposition questioning the sale of this company. He sent that letter to Secretary Geithner at the time, the Treasury Secretary. So we are happy that he's still here and will be the point person from our committee on this investigation. Mr. King.
Thank you, Chairman. It's back in October 2010. Actually, I was at that time the ranking member on Homeland Security, and myself and 3 other ranking members sent a letter to the Treasury Department raising very, very real concerns about why we would allow a Russian-owned company to get access to 20% of America's uranium supply. There are any number of reasons, objections we raised, questions we raised, and it was brought to the highest levels because I got a letter in response from Treasury Secretary Geithner, who was on the CFIUS committee, and saying that this was getting full scrutiny. So this was brought to the highest levels of the Obama administration, including the Treasury Secretary. So it's important that we find out why that deal went through. And certainly in view of recent allegations have been made or recent questions have been raised, it's essential that this investigation, this inquiry go forward. It'll be done in full coordination with government oversight. There's not going to be any conflict here. We're going to go forward together in a cooperative way. And again, specifically, the Emerging Threats Subcommittee of the Intelligence Committee has jurisdiction over the FBI's counterintelligence efforts, also with the Treasury Department. So it really fits in uniquely here. And again, in view of the fact that 7 years ago, in fact 7 years ago this month, I raised these objections with the Treasury Secretary, who said they were being fully investigated, and obviously we want to see what happened to that inquiry, what information was brought to their attention, what they knew then, why they acted or didn't act, and put it in context of what's come out since then. So again, this will go forward, and again, I look forward to working with Ron DeSantis, who's an outstanding member of Congress.
Thank you. So with that, we'll take a couple questions if you have them.
What evidence is there, or are you going to investigate whether there was pay to play with the Clinton Foundation? And Mr. DeSantis, on TV earlier this week say that you met resistance when you tried to look into this issue with the House leadership. Is that correct? And who was responsible for that?
Well, let me first say that our committee has been looking into this for a while now. We have been in touch with different individuals who have brought us information. I think, as Mr. DeSantis stated, there's a concern over the non-disclosure agreement. We don't think that that is a concern. We think that any American If they have information, even if it's top secret, at the top secret level, they can come to the House Intelligence Committee and provide that information as a whistleblower if they would like. But we are very interested in talking to any individuals and any agencies that might have this information. Mr. DeSantis, you want to?
So last Congress, this really was not investigated, but I'm happy to report that the House leadership is fully behind this current investigation. And so I would have liked to have done this a little sooner, but we are where we are, and we're going to get the facts now with their support.
In a court filing yesterday,
Yes.
Let me do this. Congressman Jordan said that the Judiciary Committee is having problems getting a response from the Justice Department just on particular Clinton issues. How do you expect that your committees are going to be getting any sort of cooperation over on your end just on this particular Uranium One issue from the Justice Department?
Well, I think some of you have followed our challenges dealing with DOJ and FBI and getting timely information, including the IC. That's one of the reasons for working jointly with the Oversight Committee, because they have, quite frankly, they have more broader powers, and they oversee basically all of government. Where on our side we have the classified side. So, and that's been one of the challenges I think a lot of our members did not know, but because we are the holder of the place where you can bring top secret information, we were in contact with folks who have been bringing us information over the last several months.
Can you respond to Mrs. Clinton's statement yesterday to C-SPAN that this is just a baloney investigation and that this is actually a statement yesterday to C-SPAN that this is just a baloney investigation and that this is actually evidence of President Trump and his allies being very nervous about the ongoing Russia?
Yeah, so I didn't see the interview, but I'm not sure that I don't think anybody has reported on the fact of this investigation or this inquiry moving forward until just now. As far as I know, no one knew about that. As far as I know.
in a court filing yesterday, lawyers for the House of Representatives seeking to enforce a subpoena against the Bank of Fusion GPS said explicitly the Democratic leaders, Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer, did not support this filing. What is this? This looks like more of a fishing expedition related to the Democrats. What is this going to do for any remnants of bipartisanship on either your committee or the oversight?
Well, our job here is to get the facts. We're the legislative branch of government. And we will do just that. As it relates to the court filing yesterday, I'll just refer you to the House General Counsel for those questions. Yes, sir.
How is your involvement in this consistent with you stepping back from Russia-related investigations?
Yeah, so that I can present to you guys the facts, and it's up to you guys to report the facts. I would just refer you back to the statement that I made originally, and if you'd like more information on that, I'll be glad to sit down with you.
Has anyone from the White House been in contact with you about this investigation, or is this something that's being driven and led by the House?
No, this is being driven. I have not talked to anyone at the White House about this. I don't know if Peter or Ron have, but this is basically based off of our conversations with informants over the last several months.
Do you feel this is separate from the Russia investigation that's going on?
Well, the current Russia investigation is about the election. This is more about uranium and whether or not government actually functioned properly or not. So, currently you have people out there saying they didn't know, which that raises a whole set of questions, because if CFIUS didn't know, but you have Secretary Geithner sending a letter saying that he knew, acknowledging Mr. King's letter, I think it raises a whole lot of questions. Look, it's possible maybe there was no FBI or DOJ investigation going on. That's possible. We're not going to jump to any conclusions, but we're going to try to get the facts.
Do you feel you can step aside from one Russia probe, but this is a separate probe, that you don't have to step aside?
Well, first of all, if you'd like I said, I'll be glad to sit down with you. I would refer you back to the statement that I originally sent out as my relationship with the Russia investigation. Like I said, I can give you the facts, and you guys can write what you write, but sometimes if you write opinion, that's not based on fact. That's not what I said at the time, and I would prefer if you guys stopped referring to that, but I can't control what you guys write, nor am I going to try. One more question. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, it's all because of new information's come to light. What we didn't know, and we still don't know, was there actually an open FBI investigation or not back in 2010, and that's what we're aiming to find out. Mr. King?
Can you just
Yeah,
clarify
yeah.
whether you involved yourself in the Russia investigation? Are you accused or are you not accused?
Let me just say on this is totally separate from the election issue. This has nothing to do with the 2016 election. This goes back to dealings that went on in 2010, 2011, and 2012, going back to that time. Has nothing to do with the Russian election. The purpose of my letter at the time was based on policy grounds. We had no idea or knowledge of any investigation going on. We were questioning the policy of why 20% of the U.S.'s uranium supplies be given to the Russians, a Russian-owned company. So we were not even considering any type of criminal activity, any type of investigatory matter going on. This was strictly the policy issue, and Geithner got back to us saying that it was being looked into by CFIUS, of which he sits on the board. So this is really separate in the extent that we had policy questions at the time. It didn't seem to make sense to us. And now, in view of recent events, I think it's important to go ahead with this investigation.
Chairman, could you address whether you
One more question.
have you recused yourself from the Russian investigation?
You look like a guy that knows how to read, so I'd go back and read the statement that I said at the time. One more question. Yes, sir, back there.
You said you haven't talked to the White House. Have you committed that you will not talk to the White House in this instance?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to talk to the executive branch at some point in order to get information from DOJ and FBI. So,
But I mean, would you brief them as you did in this prior investigation?
if appropriate, yeah.
Do you anticipate calling
Final question.
former Obama administration officials up to and including Secretaries Geithner and Clinton?
Well, at this time, it's a little premature. Let us first determine whether or not there was an open investigation by FBI. It's a little premature. Let us first determine whether or not there was an open investigation by FBI or DOJ, and then we'll get back to you with more information. Thanks, guys. We got work to do. See ya.
I don't always keep it